Hi guys, it's Robin, RsIslandCrafts, and welcome to my craft room. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one that's excited about making these fabric postcards. Several of you had said that they, either you guys have already made postcards like this before and you love making them, and there's a new group of you that would love to learn how to make them, and I think that's great. I think it's great that so many of you are interested in learning this technique. It's really fun to pass on these projects, these techniques, these ideas onto a new group of people, because you may not think you're passing any information back to me, but when we're chatting in the comments and we're talking in different forums and stuff, you guys are giving me new ideas and helping me broaden my knowledge and my creativity just as much as I'm helping you guys to learn something new. Now, I told you we're going to take this step by step. We're not going to do one postcard all in one video and get it over and done with. I want you to be able to go back and just pick and choose which section of the video you need to learn. Let's say you already know how to do it, but you never heard about using fusible felt, or you want to know how to cut the backing or whatever, the binding. You'll be able to just pull that video up out of the, I have them all over in a playlist on my YouTube. That way you can just pull up the videos you want to watch and just watch those. Today's video is going to be so super simple. We're just going to talk about cutting our felt and cutting the cardstock for the back of the postcards. This process is basically going to be the same if you wanted to use that fusible Timtex, if you want to use batting, or if you have some other type of product that you're going to use in place of the felt that I'm using. I have a stiff felt. Now, cardstock, you can use cardstock, you can use muslin, you can use white fabric, you can use whatever you want as long as you're able to write on it somehow. I like to use the cardstock because between the cardstock and the stiff felt, it gives it a stiff postcard, but it's still bendable. Let me bring back my example. Cardstock, and I have inside is the stiff felt. It's firm. It has some body to it, but you see, because at the post office, it has those rollers where all the mail goes shooting through them like this, so it has to go around curves and up and around. So it has to have some type of flexibility to it, but of course we want it rigid enough so it's like a postcard. This is going to be basically a little mini art quilt for us. Before we get into cutting everything, I just want to show you, once again, I went to my favorite place, the Dollar Tree, and I picked up one of the little shoe boxes they have. Since summertime's here, they have some new colors. I found this, it's not quite I don't know, it's some type of a green. It's a very pale green. It's kind of nice. And I'm keeping all my supplies in. As I cut all my felt pieces, I'm going to put them in here. Right now I have some postcards I already made because I haven't picked up another container for these. These fit, but because it's kind of rounded and it's just, the postcards are just a little bit taller, that you have to lay them down for them to be in there. They can't stand straight up because they're only about 1/4 of an inch taller than this container, and the lid won't fit. And I want to be able to stack them up because I will be putting these in my shop, numerous ones, but I plan on making dozens and dozens of them, so I want to be able to store them somewhere neatly so they're out of the basic clutter of the craft room and they're nice and safe. But for now, they're going to be in here, and I have all my supplies. I'm going to also have a separate container where I keep all these little scraps like this. As I'm making these, when I have leftover scraps, I want to put them in another container just so when I want to make postcards, I can just grab this box and I can grab the scrap box and I have everything I need right here. I don't have to spend any time searching around the room looking for different things or going to the store and buying something. I know everything I need is going to be right here. That's one of the little tricks on how you can do your 15 minutes of creativity a day without having to waste 10 minutes of it finding your supplies. The first thing I'm going to cut is my stiff felt. These measure, what do they measure? They measure 12 inches, they're 9 by 12. And the way I'm going to go ahead and cut these is I had some of these already cut out. So what I did is a little visual trick. So what I did is I just took some of my cardstocks that I'd already cut out, or you can use any of your felt you cut out, or you can just go ahead and cut out 4 pieces of computer paper that are 4 by 6, just so you can figure out how you can lay them down. Because what I know is, I know if I can get 4 out of each of these sheets if I lay them down like this. And then I have this extra piece that I've been cutting off, and I decided to go ahead and save this for making keychains or something. I thought this was a nice weight. It's similar to some type of the stiffer fusibles that you have, the interface things, and I thought it fits perfectly for those little finger key rings that you can put your those cards you get when you go, your loyalty cards when you go to the store. So I'm going to go ahead and save all my pieces. But this was just a little trick I was doing, because you don't want to waste. You want to get as many pieces out of it as you can. Because if I put them this way, I'm only going to get 3, because it's not wide enough for the 4th one. I'm more of a visual learner that way, to see spatial things, so it's easier for me to lay things out and figure it out that way. Now, if you know, I have my old pink cutting mat out. I'm using my rotary cutter I have written paper on it. This is one of my old blades. As I use up my blades from my regular one from cutting fabric, they get downgraded to the paper version, and when these get dull, then these actually get thrown away. Now, this stiff felt, it's not exactly 9 by 12. Some of the pieces have a little bit of a wave to it. Some pieces have a little bit of part jutted out on it. I'm not going to be overly concerned about that, because we're not making a quilt. This is a one-off. Once we cut it 4 by 6, that's going to be the size that it is. If it ends up being 3 7/8 by 6 1/8, it's going to be okay. We could always trim it down afterwards, but I'm going to cut them 4 by 6, and however they turn out, it's going to be close enough. Because sometimes when you're lining it up here, I line it up so that the majority of the stiff felt is lined up. Sometimes there's a little piece that's short in the corner, sometimes a little piece sticks out. I'm only doing these 1 piece at a time. I tried 2, but with my duller blade like this, it's too dangerous. You don't want to veer off and cut yourself, and I don't want to have to put down all that extra pressure, because it's really hard on the shoulder. This way I know I'm being safe. I'm not going to be injuring myself, whether it be my hand or my shoulder, and I'm going to get the job done. Put on one of my videos and let me talk to you while you're cutting up your felt. You have to put a little bit of pressure down, but it cuts relatively easy. Now, when I accidentally was using my brand new blade, it went through like butter. Yes, but I just put a new blade in my other rotary cutter, and I did not want it to dull since it's brand new blade. Now, there's going to be just a little smidgen at the end of this that I'm just going to go ahead and cut off of the edge. Now, I said a little bit doesn't matter, but since I'm already cutting it, why not go ahead and cut that little piece off? But if anything else is a little off, then it's okay. It's like this piece right here, it just kind of juts out just a little bit at the end, but I noticed that if I spin it around, that this side tends to be even, except now it has a little bit of a shortness up there. Every single piece that I've touched has that, so I'm just going to go ahead and work with it. And when it comes to cutting the next section, I like to go ahead and just stack them up side by side, because once again, I don't want to put 2 together. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut the 4-inch sections. Just take your time and go carefully. You've got some Netflix in, you're listening to some music. There's no rush. And you're probably not going to be cutting out 50 of them like I plan on it. So there we go. We have 4 pieces cut. And we have 2 little pieces left over that we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and set it aside in another container and save this for making keychains or whatever else I happen to think of that would be useful for this. It's nice and white. It could be snow in one of your postcards, right? But don't worry, I am not crazy enough that I'm going to put these together and stitch them together to get a whole nother postcard out of them. That would just be crazy. Now when it comes to the cardstock, I definitely cut 2 together. These aren't quite as thick and you're not going through all that. That felt is a different type of material and it has that scrim or glue in it. So I go ahead and I cut these. I just put 2 different colors together just to show you. This cardstock was from a package of Brights. Now I haven't checked with the post office yet to make sure that this is going to work, but I have a workaround anyway. I went to the Dollar Tree and I found these shipping labels. They measure 4 by 6, so I figure I can put this right onto the plastic envelope, and that's going to cover up, if the post office doesn't like these bright colors, it's going to cover it up anyways, and this is going to allow the post office, I'll be able to put a stamp on it, I can write the address to and from, and they're going to be able to cancel it out with their little machines that they love to do. Plus, when it's inside, it's also going to cover up the message, so if I want to put any mushy gushy lovey-dovey stuff and send it to my husband, no one will ever know. Alright, sorry about that. I am easily sidetracked. You should know that by now. Imagine how bad it would be if you were actually here in the room with me. Cardstock tends to measure 8.5 by 11, so we're going to have to figure out our placements once again to see where the best way to put our cutouts are, you know, more bang for the buck. If we went this way, then we know we can get 3. But if we tried to line them up this way, we'd only be able to get 2. And that would be a waste of this whole chunk and this here. Now, since I'm not a paper crafter, like I said, I'm going to be saving the pieces that I've cut off, but I just don't know what to do with them yet. So if anyone has any ideas for a non-paper crafter on how to use leftover scraps of paper other than just writing notes on them, please let me know. So this time I'm going to cut them this way. Still using my paper cutter. This time I'm going to go 6 inches this way once again. Set that one offside for now. And now I need to cut 4. Now remember, if you don't always remember and you don't want to keep looking, you can take some washi tape and put it right along the 4 mark here, because I already know my ruler is 6 inches. That way I won't have to stop and check all the time or count 1, 2, 3, 4 inches across. I could put some washi tape right there and I'll know exactly where to cut or where to line it up so I can cut it nice and even. There's that little bit left over. These pieces I've been throwing away. I'm really not sure if there's anything good for these sizes, unless you tell me, and then I'll start saving these too. Now this one's only 5 inches this way, so I know I'm going to go get 6 inches this way. Sorry if you hear any gurgling, but my dog is laying on the floor right over there. She's chosen not to eat today, so her stomach has been gurgling and growling because she's hungry. I had a banana, so it's not my tummy. Start out by cutting at 6. And there's my section of pieces that I can save there. These tend to slide, so make sure you line them back up all the time. Then my approximate 4, the best I can. And then out of the 2 sheets, I went ahead and I got 3 of each, so I cut 6. And that's it. There was a lot of nice bright colors in that package that I went ahead and got them all cut up. And I've been cutting up my stiff felt, so now I'm all set for the next step. So you guys go ahead and get caught up to me here, and then I'll start making the next video for the next step, and we'll get to the fun part. Alright guys, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.